just tilted everything. So, hello, this is Plan and Affirm. Today we are setting up week 13 in my Sterling Ink Common Planner. I usually consider the astrology of the upcoming week and do a tarot reading for the collective to provide insight into the week, right? Normally I would do that. But as we get into the live, we'll talk about what I do when I don't have it in me to do divination, which is where we are today. So after time blocking week 13, we'll be saying our affirmations. But this is what I do, right? Generally, I would do like a tarot reading to help me plan the week. You know, I would take that information, blah, 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 like I just said. So I don't have the energy for that today. Basically, when that occurs, I go to my Cartomancy reading. And this is a reading that I do once a year, right before my birthday. So it goes from April to April. And then in April, I do a new reading that it goes from May to April. So then in April, at the end of April, I do a reading that's going to cover May to April of the following year. So that's generally what I do. As you can see, we only have up to April here, even though this isn't decorated for April, we have the reading. And at the end of April, I will be giving myself a reading to fill in the information for these other boxes. And so the card that I got for April, which is what I'm doing, I don't have the energy to do this today, so I'm just going to go to my Cartomancy. What does this card for April indicate? And I can use that information to apply it to the current week. And if I wanted to even make it fit with the lunar phase, which I may, simply because I know what it is. But okay, so let's get into it then. Let's just jump right into it. So the lunar phase for week 13 that I was paying attention to when I was looking things up was the first quarter moon in Cancer. And that's going to happen at 3:17 p.m. Eastern Time. And so applying this knowledge to week 13, we have the Shining Quarry, Caverns of the Gnome. This would be your Knight of Pentacles in traditional tarot. This is the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. It's a deck I love very much, and it's the deck I used for this spread. So, okay, the Shining Quarry, Caverns of the Gnome, which would be the Knight of Pentacles. Now, slow and steady is the way to lasting success. That's what I was told when I did my reading. Slow and steady is the lasting way to success. Review finances, check physical well-being. Okay, so thinking of those directives or opportunities for further growth, we can think about finances and check physical well-being as sort of like what we want to make sure we do for week 13. And so I should write that down. And so let's write it down. Let's see, what's this one? What's this one? Not a journal entry. This one? No. This one. Okay, so this is a journal entry. Hang on. I need to... Okay. Here we go. In this journal, there's a journal entry on this side, but over here, I'm just going to write down my thoughts about what I'm focusing on for this. Okay, what is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so as you know, I'm using the Sterling Ink Common Planner A5, and I ignore these dates when it comes to what's happening at the bottom of the page, but I respect these dates in order to write gratitude. So what happens is these first 3 lines of the page do correspond to this date because that is my gratitude for that day. But aside from that, the rest is just like a journal where I write the date, etc. So you're going to see me do that right here. We're just going to set up this page to have a column of to-dos because my to-dos are running out, as you can see right here. I'm running out of space for the to-dos, so it's time for a new to-do list. And we're going to make room for that and then write down the focus that we're going to get into next. Okay, so all right, I'm going to use this fluorescent green. And so the theme for my planner in March was the equinox and citrine, the citrine crystal. So that was my, you know, what are we calling it? Theme. We're calling it a theme. So that was my theme. And I'm using these labels, these date labels, and I had already used like yellows for the citrine, for January, and I didn't want to use those same yellows again, so I just opted for this lime green, you know, because citrus. So yeah, so I keep these little strips in here with the days of the week. So I'm looking for a Sunday. I may have to pull all of these out. I'm looking for a Sunday. Got Saturday, Sunday. All right, so we have Sunday. And then we also need today's date, which is March 22nd. And that leads me to what happened last time I was here. I was like, I'm gonna consider going live monthly instead of weekly like I'd done all of 2025. And then what happened? Well, my instinct knew that I was gonna have to scale it back in 2026, pretty much. So my father passed away March 6th of this year. And so there's been extra trips to New York to go visit him. And my filming and editing, etc., happens on the weekend because I homeschool during the week. So I just haven't had, I wouldn't have had time to go live weekly regardless. And I had initially planned to go live on 3/3 because I love that combo when the month matches the date and you get these repeated numbers. I thought that was so cool. So I was like, yes, we go live on 3/3. Was it 3/3? God, I don't even remember anymore. When did I say I wanted to go live? Not 3/3. I I think I will. Never mind. I don't know what I was thinking. For oh no, I was supposed to go live on 2/2/2 on February 22nd. And then what happened is I was like, I can't go live. I have to make a trip to New York so that my daughter could see my father and all this other stuff. So yeah, basically we've had to deal with, funeral, burial, grief. And this is why I don't have the juice to do readings. And if you try to book something, I believe my books are closed. And I've given myself until April, I think. April 22nd or something. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I did. So I should make a note to confirm when my books are open again. But yeah, it's been crazy. It's been scattered. I haven't been doing much weekly planning. I've just been working off to-dos. Wow. Having a hard time with this one. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna make our note. So that's basically what I do when I don't have the energy to do a reading. I can go back to this monthly thing that I didn't hate and say, hey, this can apply here. And so focus for the week. Review the finances. And check on health. And that's very vague, right? You could go anywhere with that. Excuse me. You can go anywhere with that. But that's what also makes it useful when you don't have time to get specific. You can come back into this and draw from the energies. And so, speaking of drawing from the energies, we're looking at this night. There's this little djinn, like it looks like a little creature. Looks like a little creature. Anyway, there's this creature here, and it's like bring in the elemental energy, right? It's also like I'm getting a call to possibly do some ritual work. To aid business. Some ritual work to aid business is what this elemental creature is giving me. And check on health. That's something that I could incorporate into one of my meditation days. So I'm just going to write physical avatar. Okay, so there's my focus, you know. What about your finances are you thinking you might want to look at for week 13? And what ways can you check in on your health during week 13? What can you do to promote health? So, okay, so those are two thoughts, right? Then I want to jump into this big giant guidebook, which accompanies the book of, I mean, not the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. So this is like in depth about, each and every card. All right, so going into Caverns of the Gnome. Oh, it's coming up here soon. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Shining Gale, Shining Quarry. Okay, hello. Okay, so this deck is by Benabel Wen. While you wait for me to find the page, the Shining Quarry. Here we go. Caverns of the Gnome. This is the card. I thought that it would have the picture, but it does not. Okay. So the Knight of Orbs represents a Rajput warrior. The Rajput were a caste of land-owning aristocratic warriors in India. Many venerated Kartikeya or Kumara, the Hindu god of war, who would be invoked prior to battle. The warriors would decorate their turbans with a peacock feather, which was sacred to Kumara. What do I do with the picture? Oh. We can leave that here. A Rajput was expected to uphold certain codes of chivalry, with the two most important values being loyalty and valor. Upon his golden orb is inscribed the Om symbol, a sacred sound in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Here, the Rajput stands in front of a reimagined Ranki Ki Vav, the Queen's stepwell in Gujarat, India. The Ranki Ki Vav is a subterranean temple and water source. Scriptures carved upon the stepwell are predominantly to Vishnu, the preserver. A flood caused the stepwell to be buried under sand and mud and was rediscovered in the 20th century. Okay. So, unearthed. Oh, and there's the picture. The knight's helper is a gnome, an earth spirit who is seated on an enchanted flying rock that the gnome uses for transportation. She holds a treasure in her arms. So there we go. Like, I love that. And by the way, the dark horse's name is Denarius. This card can also be a stand-in for one with a more masculine nature, with a strong presence of Taurian, Virgo, or Capricorn energy, which, interestingly enough, Virgo is my house of health. So interesting that the call to health. So there's your astrology piece. Okay. This can keep going. It can keep going. So, again, the book is talking about alchemy and ceremonial magic. And so, again, ritual. I think that's all we need. What ritual could we do? This is a nice question. Perhaps a lunar ritual with Cancer. Some questions to ask ourselves. Is Cancer void on Wednesday? If it is, can you do the ritual outside of the void period, or should you do the ritual at another point in the week when the moon is in a different sign? So lots of possibilities, and I'm gonna leave it there in terms of what I'm gonna be doing for myself, so we could get right into planning week 13. I want to show you too. I have this Bible. I don't know if you can see it. I have this Bible ribbon bookmark. And it is solving the problem of the complete common planner having all the pages mixed in together. So I'm excited about that. So the first ribbon takes me to my quarterly trackers. The second ribbon takes me to the latest to-do list / journal entry. This ribbon right here takes me to the current health tracker. There we go. Takes me to the current health tracker. This ribbon here takes me to the scribe tracker, because there's a weekly here, which, by the way, week 10, the week of my father's passing, no planning whatsoever occurred. I don't know if it's just going to become a regular journal page, or if I'm going to come back here and, I don't know, put a photo or something. But yeah, so yeah, didn't touch it. But the point is that this ribbon, every time I set up for the month, this singular tracker is right after the weekly. Like, it can't, for some reason, it doesn't fit with the others. If only that one extra page was there for me, but whatever. So that's what this ribbon is for. Then the ribbon that came with the planner. One of the ribbons that came with the planner is on the current week. So this is the current week, week 12. And as you can see, we began some time blocking, but again, I was still coming back to Earth, so didn't really respect the time blocks very much. Just tried to make it through the day. Anyway, continuing on. So then the next ribbon is also the one that comes with the planner, and that's the current day of the week, so that I can write my gratitude. I didn't write it yesterday, so when that doesn't happen, I usually don't backfill it. I usually just move on. And so here's the bookmark that came with the planner, marking the actual date so that I can easily find where the gratitude page is. Okay. Anyway, that big long explanation, I forgot what we were talking about. Oh, what were we talking? We were just going to get into the planning, right? Yeah. I decided to talk about my ribbon bookmarks. That's what it was. Okay, and so then this ribbon that was part of the Bible bookmark thing is next week. And when it's not being used, because this is only going to get used today as I flip through the current week, right? I'm going to be flipping through the current week and week 13. So this is the only time I'll be using this string. So once I don't need it anymore, it's just going to hang out toward the back of the planner. All right. So let's jump in to week 13. My lighting. I'm not gonna stress it. I'm not gonna stress it. The lighting doesn't have to be perfect. We're here to get our stuff done. That's what we're here to do. Okay. So I like to begin with time blocking dinner. And so why do I like to begin with time blocking dinner? Because if dinner is late, so is everything else, which means you also are less prepared the next morning. And what I do, how do I indicate that, hey, this is really the time the dinner is supposed to be prepared? You've got to be on dinner mode at this time. What I do is I shade in those hourly blocks, and that's my indicator of you have to be doing this at this time. Now let's say, hey, it's crock pot. You know, obviously you did that before, but you need to be serving it or whatever at this time. Okay. So that's dinner. And so like I said, I shade in the hourly blocks to indicate, hey, all right. I see that somebody like left some heart. Yay! Yay to the heart thing. All right. Who is that? Yungwei. Yungwei one left a heart. Yay. Or they added Yungwei one. I don't even know. This is the first time I get a non-family comment. Okay, so cooking dinner. I have to chop onions tomorrow, so I'm just gonna write that in. Chop onions. Chop onions. All right. Continuing. You know what? It's been so long, I don't remember what I'm supposed to be doing next. Okay? Let's just put it like that. But luckily, I gave myself a checklist the last time we went live to remind me, what is it that I'm supposed to be doing? Add the lunar phases on the weekly pages. That's what we're supposed to do. Lunar phases on the weekly pages. So I'm going to use this just because I don't want to open the other markers. All right, so like we said, it's the first quarter. No, not the right ruler. It's the mini ruler on the weeklies. Okay. Just lower that a little so you can see. So it's the first quarter moon this Wednesday. And as we said, it is in Cancer, so I just do a little Cancer symbol there. And if I want to know what time it is, I go to the March monthly, which has the stuff. All right, what next? There's another day. And that is the 29th, where it is waxing gibbous in Leo. 29th. Move the book over just a tad. 29th, waxing gibbous in Leo. Okay, and then I use this fluorescent yellow here to shade in the illuminated part of the moon. So the stripes are the dark part of the moon, and the color would be the illuminated part of the moon. All right, so there we go with that. Move this slightly over again. And we have to add our appointments, and there is an appointment. What is the appointment? 2:30. Okay, so at 2:30. Okay, so appointment. Is there another thing? Yes, there is over here. All right, appointments. I like to I like to signify appointments with this fluorescent pink. And so that's what we're doing here. My hair is in the shot. Okay, so like I said before, it's a fixed appointment time. You don't have a choice. That's why the hourly blocks are completely shaded in. When you can be flexible about when to do stuff, you just outline it. Or I just outline it. Okay, so we've got the appointments. What's next? All right, so we've got the bedtime routine. Oh, thought I had everything. Do I? I think I do. Well, let's just pull these out. We need this. We'll need this. We'll need this. And this. And this. Oh, man. I'm sorry that you get boring pencil rifling. Boring pencil case searching. Oh, man. I did not put the purple in here. The purple is not here. We're just gonna have to go with this purple instead. It will be okay. You will find it. Okay. So the bedtime routine. The bedtime routine includes like planning stuff. But it's that whole brush your teeth and floss and blah blah blah, all that stuff, including planning out the next day. Okay. I'm a little awkward here because I got press-on nails. It's the second time I use press-on nails in my life. But they definitely show me how much I use my actual fingernails as tools. Because don't try to use your press-on nails the way you use your real nails. Don't you dare. Like peeling stickers and grabbing some fines. Like, there's no fine grabbing with these thick things. But they look so pretty. So we're gonna learn to use other tools instead of our nails. Because that also leads to breakage, which I have a lot, and they love to break along the sides. So that is why we are going to use the press-ons to train ourselves to use tools aside from our nails. One thing that's also supposed to happen is weekly reviews, and I always make it for Saturday, but for some reason it never happens Saturday, and if it happens on Mondays. I mean on Sundays. But I guess that can be flexible. Another thing that I have to track is I have to assist one of my children with their flossing routine. Well, I have to supervise it to make sure it actually happens. So that is what's going here at this bottom. Okay. And here, I'm going to write weekly review. And then over here, PM reflection. And kids floss. Okay, so there is my signifier. If I want to come back and check it off and be all proud of myself, that's where my little X is going to go. Okay, so bedtime routine is done. Now we are going to go to the homeschool instruction time. So basically, again, we're focusing on getting down the non-negotiable times first. And so that's what's happening now. The next thing that it's like it needs to happen at this time can't happen at any other time is the homeschooling instruction time. Okay. We've added our little dividing lines. And now we're going to shade. Well, we're going to finish our outline of the hourly blocks. Then we will shade them in. Okay. And so again, non-negotiable, we're going to shade in the hourly blocks because this is the only time, or this is the only thing that can occur at this time. Okay. And so now it's time for, well, update the homeschool register, which is not on my list here, but is supposed to happen at the end of the school day. And so I'm adding that in a slightly different shade, so as not to confuse it with homeschool instruction time. And then I also do these stripes because this is another fixed time to do this, but I don't want to confuse it with something else. And so this is where the stripes come in. So homeschool related, but not exactly the same thing as this, right? Okay. Next, the evening routines. All right, so we already talked about our health stuff. Take a look at the health and also take a look at the finances. So, according to my ideal weekly page, finances can occur on Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. It's definitely going to be Sunday. So we'll put that one in first. Okay. Definitely going to be Sunday. Sunday, 8:30, right? Yeah, 8:30 to 10. And Thursday is definitely going to be another bookkeeping day. What is next? I want there to be another day here because there was like, hey, focus on this. And there is a deadline coming up that I need to be ready for. So we're going to make that also a Monday event. Even though Mondays is extremely difficult for me to get anything done in the evenings. I don't know what it is about Monday. But we're going to schedule it anyway. Give that some time. Okay, next. Homeschool preparation. we're going to give this a tentative. And we're going to now, if I can opt to do this earlier on Saturday, I will. So I'm not going to shade that in the way I did for the bookkeeping. Normally that would be shaded in though. It's just not happening in week 13. Week 13, I think I can possibly get it done earlier in the day and it might be better for me. Okay, so then we have the evening routines. Book club is back. I think I skipped like a whole month of book club or something like that. But again, with all the travel and preparation for this stuff, I just didn't have it in me for the book club. I had like a personal development type thing going on every Tuesday where I dealt with some of my trauma and I've been skipping it. So I'm going to make sure that I put it in for this week. And so I have shaded that in. This is the marker for that. Okay. Friday. Friday, we're going to make that a half and half situation. Although, no, it can't be half and half because it's a good editing day for me. So just got to give it the whole editing day. All right, and then we know for a fact that Saturdays, I'd like to dedicate this time to that. And Sundays, starting at 2. This could also be a good editing day. So we're going to just drop that right there. All right, so got book club right here. Something will occur there, something will occur there. Okay. Next up is the morning routine. Oh my God. Thank you for commenting. All right. I lost my train of thought because I was so happy that I wasn't here talking to myself. Okay, morning routine time. Now, what I do for the morning routine is it's just a to-do list that I write on Monday only. And then I put signifier dots along the hourly blocks and then check that off as I complete it. Okay, so tilting the book because it's neater that way. Right. Remembered all that, but I didn't remember the rest. What is next? Direct morning routine. All right, so, and then cleaning. Yeah, so there it is. That's the morning routine. And what happens is I'm looking for markers again. That's what's happening. Something happened to the light purples. Oh, here they are. Not here. Oh, here they are. Here we go. Okay, so we have this and this. And so, like I said, this one only happens Mondays, so I leave that alone for the rest of the week. I'll just write the event day if there's an event for that day. But then meditate should happen every day. And so I just put the dot there. If I meditated, even if it didn't happen at that time, if I meditated that day, the X would go there to be like, hey, you did it. Okay, so that was meditate. The next thing is direct the morning routine. And because that's the only time it can happen, we're using our fluorescent pink to indicate that that is what needs to happen. All right, so AM reflection, that's when you're looking at, hey, what came up last night, blah, blah, blah. What else do I need to do today? Looking at all the stuff. And so that is the AM reflection. Then there's pen test vitamins. What does that mean? That means I pendulum test to see, hey, do I need to take iodine today? Because some things don't need to be taken every single day. And so that's what I pen test vitamins for. Okay, and then cleaning. Cleaning happens here. And cleaning there, and there's also some cleaning tasks that happen on Saturday, but that again is just like, it's more like a checklist instead of me basing it on hourly blocks. And actually, there is also laundry. What planning method is this named after? Well, that's a good question. Time blocking? I don't know who came up with that. I don't know who the first person who came up with time blocking, but I can say who's inspired me in terms of blocking time and stuff. I would say HB90 has inspired me in terms of time blocking. But the whole thing with the colors, using the colors this way, and the whole hourly blocks, that was me, man. I made that up because I like color coding. All right, so laundry goes here. But yeah, time blocking, I was inspired by Heart Breathing's HB90 system. But the color coding, that was my invention to make the to-do list more interesting. Because if the to-do list is boring, I don't want to look at it. Because I don't like most of these to-dos. But, you know, coming back and looking at a page that's got all these nice colors, and that when I do the thing adds to the decorative element, that's what keeps me coming back and keeps me productive. So, for instance, this ideal weekly page, I love coming back and looking at it because it's so pretty. And it makes me go, oh yes, what did I forget to do? Oh, I forgot to put all the vacuuming in, but look how pretty the page is. So, what am I doing first? I'm going to put my dots first. Okay, 3 dots at 9 o'clock. 1, 2, 3. And then two dots and 2 dots. 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, so then we have wash, spirit dishes, and then we have the vacuuming. Okay, and vacuum the hallway and the L2 stairs. There we go. Okay, I'm also seeing load vitamins has to be added. Load vitamins. And then tickler tasks, which are already here, technically. Not really. Really, there is no tickler task happening there. It's some other type of administrative stuff, which I still need to do. So I just won't be scheduling tickler tasks week 13. Okay, so this is a health-related thing. My administrative tasks, I color code with green. Okay, so got sidetracked on the cleaning tasks, and I need to continue marking the morning routine. All right. What's next? Bam. We have done all the things. So now it's time to do our to-do lists and add the final decoration. Is this method related to or similar to bullet journaling? Well, in a sense, it is similar to bullet journaling because the whole thing with trackers, etc., and color coding, that's kind of like the bullet journal family, right? But the planner itself is a lot like Hobonichi. It's just that I tend to bring a lot of bullet journal elements into it because I originally came from a bullet journal perspective, especially when it comes to making content. So yeah, it's definitely similar because I do a lot of the bullet journal stuff, especially when it comes to indexing and threading and the trackers. Having trackers, that tends to be part of the bullet journal world, and as well as having an index. Some people have an index, some people don't. I like to have an index because that's actually what brought me to bullet journaling in the first place, is being able to find what I wrote again. So, yeah. But I'd say for me, it's very similar. I've brought in a lot of bullet journal elements that some could argue are not functional, and I say it's functional for me because if it's boring, I'm not going to want to look at it. Okay, so then the to-do list. So this is the fun part. This is where I decorate the thingy. This is where I decorate the thingy. And so I've got my little box here with my theme stuff. And I usually put a piece of washi tape here. But I made this strip. And I'm like, hey, use the strip, Ingrid. So I'm going to do that. Going to use the strip instead of, but what I didn't do, and because it's been so long, I didn't make sure to have my scissors close. Jeez. All right, hold on. Where do I want this? Where do I want it? At 12:30. Yeah, see, like the whole washi tape thing, that's bullet journal-y. Although the bullet journal purist would say, you don't need washi tape. And you don't. But I do. Trying to decide where that gets cut. I need a pencil. Don't really want to see it, but it would annoy me to have it come out crooked. Okay, so I made this on Adobe Express, and it's a citrine crystal, like super close up. And so there we have it. I also like to put, darn, I'm gonna have to get up again. I hate that. I'll be back. So I've got these other little stickers here. I'm going to have to grab one of these friends. So that I can put it right there, because I like to do that. Wow. I just realized something I'm not too happy about. I used up all my see-through citrines. Should I just drop this eclipse there? Why not? Even though that was not eclipse week. What about this? Actually, I like that. Okay, so yeah, so this is from Adobe Express's, I guess, photo library. And I made some stickers by printing this on label paper. Just made a whole page with various citrine all right. Gorgeous. Okay, so now that we've done that, we need to do our to-dos. I'm gonna use this Tombow here just because there's no good reason. Okay, groceries. Yeah, I don't even know. Doesn't even fit in there, but hey. Okay, groceries. Hard to read. I-E-S. I think I spelled groceries wrong. Okay, groceries. Homeschooling. You can't read these things. I'm going to stop that. We're going to have to go with you. Yeah, I guess we'll go with you. All right, homeschooling over here. There we go. A little weird. Okay, homeschooling, bookkeeping, thinking this. Okay. So bookkeeping. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Homeschooling. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And thinking this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, this usually keeps going. All right, so these to-do lists are like my next actions. What is the next thing I need to do in this goal category? And that whole next action thing is based on getting things done, which I'm not very good at implementing. I'm trying to learn how to implement it. Just need to see real quick. I like to do that at 8:30. So, and then this to-do list here is just like a very general, very general to-do. So if I couldn't schedule it, it gets added here, basically. Something that I'm supposed to do this week. Sometimes I just add things to it. It's slightly disorganized, that aspect of it. Okay, now we're going to do to-do like this. To-do. I'm going to give it that. There we go. To-do. Bam. Oh, and then the grocery dots. Going to use this to make the grocery dots. All right, we are very close to being finished with the time blocking. 4:47. It's taken me a long time to get over here. Oh, no, actually, no, because right after this is the affirmations. And then there's nothing else. What I come here to get? I'm looking for the fluorescent yellow, which is not here. Oh, here it is. We need this fluorescent yellow for load vitamins. Okay. Now we are done with week 13. What's left is to like populate specific tasks if I know what those tasks might be, you know. But we're not going to do that right now. We're going to jump right into the affirmations, and this is the pen I'm going to use to write my affirmations. Now, given how difficult my February and March have been, I probably should have been saying affirmations all month. But I haven't been. Let's see, where are the affirmations are, oops, bro, I didn't even cover my thing. I was supposed to cover all this stuff. and I didn't. Okay, well, here we are. Supposed to write my affirmations here. And I didn't write any in February either. February has no affirmations either. And January has affirmations. So let's look and see what we have in January. I easily love, validate, and cherish myself. That works. And so we're going to write it here. I easily love, validate, and cherish myself. There. And you know what I forgot to do? I forgot to even, if you're new here, right? I do have one new person here who's been commenting. Yay! If you're new here, I'm Ingrid from thinkingthis.com. I am a writer, tarot reader, Akashic record guide, medium, and spiritual empowerment professional. I've discovered that decorative planning keeps me productive and motivated as I parent, homeschool, create content, and maintain my spiritual practice. On Sundays, I go live, time block, and decorate my weekly pages. And if you've enjoyed our time together, please remember to like and subscribe so that you can be notified when we're live or when we upload new content. All right. So I easily love, validate, and cherish myself. Then I have the courage to face the truth, and that is true. I definitely needed that. I have the courage to face the truth. I am a channel for my deepest truth. I am a channel for my deepest truth. I take heed of warnings and take advantage of opportunities. Yes. I take heed of warnings and take advantage of opportunities. Take heed of warnings. That's all I have. Oops. Dropped the pencil. Since it's not 5 o'clock quite yet, I'm going to look in 2025's book to see if there's an affirmation that I can apply today. Let's see. July. This is perfect, especially given the guidance that we got from the Spirit Keeper's Tarot. I love myself enough to take excellent care of my body, and it responds by giving me vibrant, good health. Like, yes. Okay, so let's write that down. I love myself self enough to take excellent care of my body and it responds by giving me vibrant, good health. Okay, I love that one. I create the conditions for my happiness all of the time. That too. So I'm adding that too. I create the conditions for my happiness all of the time. Okay, I'm feeling good with that. Although part of me is tempted to be like, hey, fill up the whole space, which makes sense, you know, it's March 22nd. All right, I just flipped to another page. Let's see. Okay, we're going to do it. I'm not here to earn my worth. I'm here to conquer it. That is by Bailey Varnell. So I just want to make sure you guys can see. I'm not here to earn my worth. I'm here to conquer it. My voice matters even when it's quiet. My, oops, mistake there. Value exists even when I'm still. That's a really good one. Okay, so that is by Bailey Varnell. Oops. Okay, I'm at this tiny bit of space here. You know what? We're going to leave it. Perhaps I will put a sticker there later or something like that. But we're good to go. So yeah, if you enjoyed our time together, please remember to like and subscribe. Like I said before, I said this already. When is my next live? Right? Because we said we're only going live once a month for 2026, just because I had different reasons for that the last time I talked about it, but now it's, you know, my father's death has made it difficult to edit and get things done when it comes to my channels. So that's just how it is. So our next live, April. April's next live. I don't know. There's no cool date. I guess it'll be the 26th. That'll be the next live, April 26th. And hopefully by then I will have published, not you. I will have published the setup of the complete common planner. What are the pages that must be included? You know, you'll get to see all this cute stuff get set up. And there's also a monthly planning thing where, like, I take you through my setup of my monthly pages. And so those are in the editing bay. And yeah, be sure to subscribe so that you can be notified when those get published. And so, you know what? I said it was going to be April 26th. I'm going to write that down so that I can remember that that was my intent. So April 26th, live on YouTube. And this little triangle is my event triangle. So when an appointment is made, it's an open triangle. If I keep the appointment, it gets a line underneath. So that's the event triangle. All right, so thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, Youngwei1, for commenting and letting me know you're watching. And that's it, everybody. Have a wonderful week 13. We will see you April 26th. Well, we'll see you live April 26th, but hopefully there will be uploads before then. So have a wonderful week 13. Only love prevails. Peace.